It hurts to love. It's like giving yourself to be flayed and knowing that at any moment the other person may just walk off with your skin. Or he could stab it.
You are now listening to The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay on Spotify. A podcast aimed to uncover and share the stories behind heinous and insane acts that have been overlooked or overshadowed by mainstream media, getting justice for the voices that can't speak.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kay, and I am the host of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. A podcast designed to focus on crimes committed in the Black community that you don't hear about in mainstream media, giving a voice to those victims that have otherwise been silenced. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast with me, Kay, the Texas girl in a Georgia world, baby. Ladies, how y'all feel? Fellas, y'all all right? It is Sunday, August 24th, 2025, and your girl is feeling, a little bit down about some things that's going on in my personal life, but I'm pushing forward and, really trying to just make it, trying to get it going in these streets. August 31st, my life is pretty much going to change and it's going to be difficult, but I'm staying prayed up. I'm keeping myself busy and not bored. I've got some really good things coming up as usual. I start my next class next week on the way to finishing my doctoral degree, maintaining that good old 4.0, about to be doctor in this joint, y'all. I am so, so, so excited. Graduation is right around the corner. I've got my book signing at Nubian Bookstore in Atlanta on September 20th. And I have a new book coming out that I'm really excited about. Um, a lot of people read part one, Justice for All, a Black Lives Matter novel. And there were two stories in there. One was based on the Breonna Taylor No Knock um, story, and the other was about a officer, or rather an attorney, that had to do a civil rights case and got himself into a situation. So the stories are based on, true stories, but of course it's fiction. So that came out 2 years ago. And now part two is about to come out. I'm working on Justice for All 2, a Black Lives Matter novel. This one is going to be based on, there's two different stories in this one as well. One is going to be based on the killing of George Floyd. So there's going to be a story in there that is fictional, but around that situation. And the other one is a very big surprise. So I'm really excited to try to get that finished. Like, and then on top of that, I'm outlining another story along with it. Like, y'all, these characters be in my head something heavy, I swear. Like, and when they start talking, I just gotta, I know that sounds crazy. I don't actually have characters in my head, but when they start, talking, I gotta get it out. When it's like I could just be sitting there, but like I get an idea and I hear them say, "Okay, write this," and I go with it, y'all. I know you're thinking like, "Oh, she hearing people in her head." No, when you're an author, when you're a writer, when you are true to your craft, y'all know what I mean. For all my authors that listen, you know what I mean. But I am not crazy. I don't actually have people in my head. Okay. So don't go calling the people on me. But then the icing on the cake is August 31st, The Missing Ones premieres. Like, I can't wait. I'm sorry, August 30th, Saturday, The Missing Ones premiere. And I can't wait for y'all to catch the premiere episode. Like, it is going to be fire. But first, we got to do this episode. So let's get into it. Now, what y'all sipping on tonight? Me, I'm drinking some Stella Rosa Peach. I didn't want to do too much because I got to go to work tomorrow, and I ain't trying to be getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and be hungover. Like the two just don't mix. But yeah, a simple glass of Stella Rosa Peach, and I'm eating some hot tamales candy. It's probably a bad mix, but I done already started at this point, so whatever. Don't judge me, judge your mammy, because some of y'all have eaten worse. I'm just saying. Anywho, now we gonna need like a quarter tank of gas for tonight's episode, y'all. This one had a surprising twist that I didn't expect. So hop on in and buckle up, baby, because we riding all the way back to 1985 in Norfolk, Virginia. Now y'all ready to ride? Cause I know I am. Y'all know what time it is. Let's get it. This week's case involves Natalie Purdy, surviving victim, John Doe, Natalie's boyfriend, Claudia Lawson Wilson, Kevin's ex girlfriend and surviving victim, and the infamous attempted murderer of the week, Kevin Bullock. Kevin Christopher Bullock was born February 2nd, 1963, to Barbara and James Bullock. Now, there literally is not much on him. Like, he grew up in Virginia, and by all accounts, he had a good childhood. And, like, when I say there's absolutely no information on this man, baby, they wiped his social media clean. I couldn't find anything on his ass, which makes me mad because y'all know I love digging when it comes to these fools. But they wiped that social media account clean. Like, I'm starting to feel like maybe, okay, they were trying to hide something or, hide how he really was or what his character was really about. But honestly, I mean, clearly it's visible as you hear the story. But yeah, that thing, whew, that thing was wiped clean. But according to his parents, he had a good childhood. And I mean, take that with a grain of salt because clearly they did not know that this nigga was, doing what he was doing. Clearly they didn't think, they didn't know him like they thought they knew him. But yeah, by all accounts, homie had a good childhood. He grew up in a two-parent household and all of that, little stuff, rah rah, whatever. It was clear that he had some mental health issues early on, but, I guess because it was in the 80s that, it didn't go treat it like it does today. I mean, bruh was born in 1963. So, when his mental issues started, it's the 70s. I can't even remember any type of mental health, services being available in that time frame. But I guess in a way it would explain a lot, but yeah. So growing up in Norfolk, then it wasn't as prominent as it is now. He attended school and, got fairly good grades. I guess you could say that he was somewhat attractive because he damn sure caught the eye of a few women, one of whom was Natalie Purdy. Natalie Purdy was born August 3rd, 1969, to Ron Williams and Phyllis Williams in Brooklyn, New York. She had one brother, Kelvin. Ooh, that's eerily creepy to the name Kevin. But yeah, she had one brother, Kelvin, and two sisters, Desiree Whitehead and Tiffany Boone. She grew up in Brooklyn, New York, in East New York, which was kind of like a rough area. She was exposed to a lot of things early on. Like, she grew up around the robberies and the drug addictions and the crack cocaine epidemic of the 80s that had a lot of own our people addicted and strung out. Yet she and her family made it and they survived. She attended South Shore High School in Brooklyn, New York, where she made very good grades and had a serious love for dance. Like, she was talented. Now, she had a little boo thing there, but for Natalie, it wasn't really serious because she was so focused on dance, and he was understanding of that. So things were good for Natalie until one day in 1985 when Natalie's mother Phyllis was mugged in an elevator. And well, that shook up Phyllis, and she didn't really feel like it was safe anymore for Natalie to continue to live in that neighborhood, especially being a teenager. So she and Natalie's father got to talking, and they decided to send Natalie to live with her grandmother Vernice in Norfolk, Virginia. So it's May of 1985, and Natalie is all but 16 years old when her parents pack her up and send her to her grandmother's in Norfolk, Virginia. So she transfers to Lake Taylor High School there, and she continues making her good grades. She's still loving dance, so she starts dancing there, and she's a social butterfly. So it doesn't take her long to, make friends at all, including a friendship with John Doe. Now, I'm going to call him that because there was conflicting stories on what his name is. Some said his name was Keith. Others said it was Danny. I think there was even one website that said Joe. Like it was so many different names. So for the purposes of this episode, we just gonna go with John Doe. Okay. But she met him and was just instantly intrigued. Like his brother was a dancer as well. So Natalie already knew him, the dancer that is. So John Doe, he introduces himself to Natalie and she's impressed enough that they start talking, you know. Baby, when she met John, he had her skinning and grinning, always smiling. He was quite the ladies' man. He was caring and funny. And, with his brother being a dancer, he seemed to understand Natalie's schedule when it came to having to focus and, all of that, because there were times where he saw his brother going through the same thing. So Natalie liked that, that he knew how to give her time and space to focus on her craft. But he was only understanding but so much. See, John could only be patient but so much, I'll say that. There were a lot of times that, he wanted to spend time with her and she wasn't available because she was practicing. And y'all got to remember she's only 16, so hell, her focus should be on school and, dance and everything. So, John and Natalie eventually kind of faded apart and became distant, but that didn't stop him from just randomly coming by to see her. He would come and bring her little things here and there or, just pop up or whatever to talk. And Natalie was trying to keep her attention on dance. And John, he was trying to keep his attention on Natalie. But Natalie stood firm. She was like, we can't be together right now. We need to just focus on what we've got going on. And for her, that was dance. Until a day at a festival in Norfolk changed all of that. So one day in 1985, while she was out with friends at an annual festival performing, Natalie bumps into this very handsome guy, Kevin Bullock. Now, Kevin was older than her by quite a few years. Natalie is 16. Kevin is 24. Now, why in the fuck a 24-year-old is trying to get at a 16-year-old, let alone her folks allowing it to go down, is beyond me. But, like, that's literally fucking statutory rape. But okay. So we're gonna get into that later. But she meets Kevin and he seems so well put together and mature. I bet he is for a 16-year-old. And he's spitting his game and telling her how absolutely amazing she was on the stage. And she was, like, the girl got moves. And she found him handsome and mature. Plus he had a car, which Natalie wasn't mad at, because again, she's 16. Okay. To a 16-year-old, a nigga with a car is like a dream, okay? He's a unicorn. So he gave her a ride to dance practice whenever her grandmother couldn't, and the two kind of, became inseparable from there. He became like the knight in shining armor and was always taking her wherever she needed to go, making sure she was good. And Natalie was appreciative of that. Like she had that young woman, older man thing going, like so many of us have had. I know I did at one point. Oof, ooh, and my daddy was not happy about that. Now, to her grandmother's credit, she tried to warn her not to, accept too many favors from him. And Natalie was like, okay, you know what? You're right. I don't want to be using this man. And so at one point, she told Kevin, hey, you know what? I really need to focus on my dance right now. And he was fine with it. He understood it and he gave her what she asked for, which was space. But Norfolk is only but so big, y'all. Natalie was focused on dance and, all of that, but she still got John popping up every now and then. And for the most part, Natalie was curving him. But then one day, just out of the blue, Natalie's leaving dance class and she hears this car. And she turns and she looks at it, but she doesn't recognize it. Like, legit, the car is creeping up behind her. So she stops and, she's looking around for her grandmother because her grandmother's supposed to be picking her up. It's late, she's just getting out of dance practice, but her grandmother's not there. And then all of a sudden the door opens and this guy gets out of the car and Natalie is ready to run. But she looks and it's Kevin's ass. So now she's smiling and, showing all 32 of her teeth because, her heart can stop racing. So she sees him in his new whip and he's showing all 32 of his teeth too. They get to talking and he offers her a ride for, old time's sake. And just like the old time, she says yes. But instead of taking her home, he's like, you know what, listen, why don't we go to the movies? It's a new movie out. I'm trying to take you out and, have some fun. And she was like, okay, cool, let's go. So the two of them, they leave and they go hang out. They go to the movies, and y'all, they end up picking up right where they left off. He was googly eyed over her, and vice versa. She was managing dance and school, and her man, and all of that. They were spending a lot of time together. And at one point, they were out shopping, and Kevin sees this beautiful dress. And he was like, babe, this would look so good on you. And she was like, it would. She was like, I ain't gonna hold you. It would. But yeah, that's not in my budget right now. And so he buys it for her. And he tells her, I love you, baby. I want you to have the best. I can't wait to see you in this dress. Now, at this point, Natalie's about 18 and she's just smitten. Yes, I said smitten. She is smitten. And she does care for Kevin, but she's not sure if she could say that it's love. But he is love bombing the fuck out of her. So they continue to see each other and, everything's going good. One day, Natalie is at home and she's working on some stuff for school, and an old friend pops up. Who? John. So he's got some stuff that belonged to her that he just randomly found. And he's like, oh, hey, I wanted to come over and drop this off to you because it was still at my house. And, I figured you would want it back. And, they sit there and they're talking and, catching up. And the next thing you know, Kevin pops up. But Natalie doesn't freak out. She's not serious with either one of them. She's like 17, 18 years old. So when Kevin comes into the kitchen and sees John there, he's cool about it too. And Natalie sees this and she's just like, oh, well, okay, he ain't sweating it. So she introduces the two and she was just like, hey, Kevin, babe, this is John. John, this is my boyfriend, Kevin. And John is a little mad because he's like, hold the hell up. How you just gonna stop fucking with me and say you gotta focus, but here you go fucking with the next nigga? Like, nah, that ain't cool. But he gotta play it chill. He don't say nothing. So that awkward moment is over, and John leaves Kevin and Natalie. So they go upstairs and they're hanging out in Natalie's room. And Kevin is talking about how, he can't wait for her to move in with him and how the two of them are going to be so happy together. He's like, oh, babe, just imagine it's going to be me and you and my parents' house. What the fuck? Not me and you in the parents' house. Ah. But, he's telling her, oh, babe, I love you so much. You're everything to me. All of that, just whispering the sweet nothings. And Natalie is, she picking up what he putting down. But she trying to drop that bitch. Cause sir, I am only 17, not 27, not 37. But he is truly professing his love for her. Natalie, baby, we gonna have such a great life when we move in together. It's gonna be just you and me. We're gonna live with my parents for a while, but it's okay. Our love will conquer everything. Get the fuck out of here. And, Natalie she's starting to get weirded out a little bit because now he's talking about them living together more and more. And she ain't thinking about that. She getting ready to go to college. She was accepted to Norfolk State University. She about to turn 18. She's trying to live her life. She ain't thinking about marriage. Least of all, moving in with somebody else's parents. She's trying to get away from hers. What I look like moving in with somebody else's parents and I'm trying to get out of my own. Get okay. So she gets a call from her mother back in Brooklyn with some of the best news that she's ever heard. She has an opportunity to audition for Alvin Ailey. Yes, the Alvin Ailey. Now, if I have any young folks or folks that's living under a rock that don't know who Alvin Ailey is, let me put you on game, okay? Psst. Hey, Raleigh, North Carolina. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Look no further than Southern State Hyundai of Raleigh. Located at 2511 Wake Forest Road, they have a fantastic selection of the latest Hyundai models just waiting for you. Their dedicated team is available to provide you with top notch service and unbeatable deals. And don't forget, Ask for Tony McLaughlin. He's ready to help you find the perfect car for your needs. Visit Southern State Hyundai of Raleigh today, where quality meets affordability. That's Southern State Hyundai of Raleigh, located at 2511 Wake Forest Road. And tell them the infamous one sent you. Alvin Ailey Jr. was a brilliant and just phenomenal Black choreographer, dancer, director, and activist who practically revolutionized, modern dance and created a lane for Black artists. He founded the world famous Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater in 1958, and he provided, a haven for Black artists to showcase the Black experience through dance. Like, he had some popular ballets like, The Quintet, that I think that premiered in, like, 1968, The Mooch, which premiered in 1975, and he even incorporated same-sex partnering, challenging, like, hypermasculine, archetypes. Basically, Alvin Ailey is that dude when it comes to dance, okay? Like, he walked so all these little choreographers and TikTok creators could run today, okay? So when Natalie heard that she had this opportunity, she was amped. And I mean, that's a very big deal. Like, I've had a few family members and friends that, made it into the Alvin Ailey Dance Theater. And it is a major flex. Like, people don't realize there's other avenues other than, football, basketball, and all of that. Like, to be accepted into the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, like, you've got to be the elite, the creme de la creme. So that was a flex for Natalie. So, she knows like she needs to give 100% focus. So she's telling herself, like, okay, girl, you got to rock this audition. You really need to focus. Playtime's over. Sadly, she had no idea that her career in dance was the thing that was about to be over. So, September 7th, 1986, Natalie is upstairs in her room and, she's cutting some stuff out of some magazines, prepping for her audition and doing her schoolwork. And her grandmother's downstairs on the phone and she hears her grandmother call up to her. She's like, "Hey, baby, Kevin's here." And a few seconds later, Kevin's walking up the stairs into Natalie's room, but he's got these boxes in his hands. And Natalie sees the boxes and she's curious. He buys her stuff all the time, but boxes? So she asks him, "Hey, what's up with the boxes?" And Kevin is just grinning. "Well, babe, somebody gonna have to pack you up. You ain't doing it. And I mean, I love you. I told you I wanted us to live together. So since you busy getting ready for your audition and everything, I figured I'd come over here and pack some stuff up for you." Yeah, Natalie girl, you in danger. And she knew it too. Cause what? Baby, the way she was looking at Kevin, like, uh, you do know I'm only 18, right? Like, I can't be moving with you right now. Like, that's a little too serious. And she told him, she was like, "Look, Kevin, I think you're moving a little too fast. I mean, I'm focused on dance right now and I'm getting ready for this audition. I can't be moving in with you. I'm 18." And Kevin is listening, but he ain't hearing her. He's, "Oh, sweetheart, you're just scared, I know it's probably just a lot, but us living together, it'll make things easier for you. So, let's just get you packed up, babe." And Natalie, she can see that he's adamant about this. And she's starting to get a little agitated because even now in that moment of talking to him, she should be focused on dance. She should be focused on school. She should be focused on preparing for her audition. And so, she tries to explain it to him again, like, "Kevin, baby, I can't be with you anymore. Like, you knew that this is the goal. You knew that I was going to be auditioning for Alvin Ailey. Like, you knew that my dance career was going to take me elsewhere." Like, she had to go back home. He knew that. And she tells him, I really think we should just stop seeing each other because this is just too much for me. I'm only 18. And she goes over to the closet to get the stuff that he had bought her. And she's like, "Hey, you know what? Maybe you should take this stuff back because I don't want you to feel like, you're doing stuff for me and we're not together." And so she hands him back the stuff, and poor little Kevin is just distraught. But why? Why? I love you, Natalie. Why don't you want to be with me? You know I love you. Like this nigga is all kinds of levels of psycho. Okay. Forensic files. So Natalie is trying to get, Kevin to get the boxes and go. And, she's basically like, low key, she's thinking, get your shit and get out. But she's trying to be polite. But that is not what Kevin wanted to hear. All this time and energy that he's put into their relationship, all this stuff that he's bought her, and you just want to break up? Hmm. He grabs a pair of scissors, and when Natalie turns her back, he raises them and stabs her. Natalie feels this sharp blade in her skin, and then she feels it again and again and again. Kevin stabs Natalie more than 30 times, cutting her on her nose, her chin, her lips, behind her ear, on her hands, her arms, her upper torso, her legs. He's stabbing her any place that he can connect. She's screaming the whole time, trying to fight back. Eventually, she falls to the ground and he like towers over her and just still stabbing. I love you. I love you. And her grandmother hears the commotion, so she's downstairs still on the phone. So she comes running upstairs and she sees Kevin sitting over Natalie's body that's, on the ground and he's still stabbing her. And she was just like, oh my God, stop. Kevin, stop. But he's not listening to her. Natalie's no longer screaming at this point because she's losing blood and she's losing consciousness. Hell, and her grandmother is just mortified. Kevin is still stabbing Natalie like she's not even fucking standing there. She's pleading with him to stop, but he's ignoring her. So she runs back downstairs and she grabs her phone to call 911. And she's crying into the phone and she's like, please help. My granddaughter's boyfriend is stabbing her. He's trying to kill her. Oh my God, help me. Only then does Kevin realize what he's done when he hears her call 911 and he stops and he drops the scissors and he runs out of the house. So the ambulance arrives and they take a bleeding Natalie to the hospital. Like she has suffered so much damage that they're afraid she's going to die. Her grandmother calls her mother to tell her what happened. And of course, she rushes to Virginia. Like, that's really messed up. You send your child away from a dangerous area out of concern of them being hurt there. And they find that she's stabbed, like in a location that's supposed to be safer. That's something that they could never fathom. So they rush to the hospital where Natalie is undergoing surgery. Now, unfortunately, Kevin fractured her skull, causing her brain to bleed. So the cops are there questioning her grandmother, and she's telling them what she saw. They know that it's Kevin that did it, and they're ready to take his ass in. But Kevin is two steps ahead. See, Kevin knew that the cops were going to come looking for him. So what does he do? He checks himself into a mental facility. Like you can't be touched when you locked up like that old slick bastard. But, the doctors have worked on Natalie and she's expected to survive, but yet she's frantic as fuck whenever she was conscious. So the doctors felt like it was best to have her sedated to keep her from having these crazy episodes. Like she would have fits where she thought she saw Kevin coming into the room to, I guess you could say like finish off the job. Like, I mean, I guess you could categorize them as hallucinations because of the meds and everything. And Natalie was in the hospital with temporary paralysis and she, had to learn how to walk and talk and everything. Like she had gone through hell. And sadly, hell wasn't done with her yet. One day, while she's in the hospital during her recovery, the hospital phone rings. So she answers it and she hears a voice that just sends chills down her spine. It's Kevin. Hey babe, it's me. Hey baby, I know you're probably worried about me, but I'm okay. I'm sorry that I'm not with you right now, but I checked myself into this mental hospital so I can get better and then we can work on getting married and living together like we talked about. And this is when I start to think,
No, you done fucked up, right? No, 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 no. You know you done fucked up, right?
'Cause boy, fuck you. How the fuck you call me talking about I'm okay, I'm in a mental institution, I just wanted to let you know I still love you and can't wait to marry you. Like, this nigga is a new level of insane. Like, this must be one of them secret levels on Mario Brothers or something because I can't I can't. Like, his brain needs to be studied for real. And Natalie is furious. Like, "Bro, are you serious? Do you not realize what you did to me? Do you not realize where the hell I am? You have me in the hospital. This ain't no vacation." But all Kevin kept telling her is, "I love you, Natalie. I can't wait to marry you." This crazy motherfucker here, boy. Ooh, he'd be buried up under an endangered plant. I'm telling you. But the cops is ready for that ass because eventually he gets checked out of the mental health facility. And as soon as he does, them cops arrest that ass. So he gets arrested and he's charged for aggravated malicious wounding. And Natalie's happy because his weird ass is facing prison time. So once Kevin is arrested, Natalie thinks about it and she decides to move back to New York to recover where she felt safer. Like, there clearly was nothing but damage for her in Virginia. And it's really messed up because her mother specifically sent her to Virginia to get away from the violence, and she walked right into it. And then she gets the worst news ever. She's never going to be able to dance again, not to that degree. So to be told that you'll never be able to dance again, like that's heartbreaking because she was literally just days, weeks away from auditioning for Alvin Ailey. And then because you're focused on your career and because you're focused on your craft so that you can be prepared, the person that's supposed to be with you, that's claiming they love you so much, is the one that takes your dreams away. That's hard for her. That's heartbreaking. She worked so hard and it just had it snatched from her. So she goes home to New York and, she's waiting for Kevin to go to trial. Only thing is, he never does. See, Kevin was once again 2 steps ahead. He and his attorneys talked and he took a plea deal. The trial was about a year later, but his attorneys got him to take a lesser charge right before. And that lesser charge only gave this motherfucker probation. Yeah, Kevin gets 4 years of probation and doesn't have to do a day in prison. And when Natalie and her family hears about this, oh, she is devastated, pissed, angry, everything you can think of. This man damn near kills her, takes away her dream of being in the Alvin Ailey ensemble, and all he gets is basically a slap on the wrist. Like, what kind of bullshit is that? That only confirmed to Natalie that she made the right choice to leave Virginia. She tried to move on with her life, but it wasn't easy. She was trying to move on and get over it, but there was a part of her that felt cheated. She didn't get justice. She got a slap in the face. But despite everything, she tried to rebuild her life and you know move past it the best that she could. She gets a degree from Norfolk State University and she's going on in her life, and so does Kevin. He enlists in the military and goes off to defend our country. Yeah, make that make sense. This motherfucker actually fought in Desert Storm. And he also meets a new woman that has him even crazier, a woman named Claudia Lawson. Now, Kevin meets her in 1998 and he is in love. She's a breath of fresh air and he needs that. Hell, he needs someone he can lie to and make it seem like he ain't the crazy one. If it's one thing a nigga gonna do when he is newly single, is he gonna meet a new chick and lie and tell the new chick that it was all the ex that was the issue when he got more issues than New York Times. I'm so serious. If it's one thing a nigga gonna do is get him a new chick to lie to because she ain't seen the bullshit yet. Oh, but it's coming. But I digress. So he meets Claudia Lawson and the two of them hit it off. They're vibing and, eventually he goes off to serve his country, in Desert Storm. You would think that, being able to get away with attempted murder would make him get his shit together and, have it straight. Yeah, well, thought wrong. because it doesn't take long for Kevin's real nature to show once again. So in 1998, Claudia and him got into this argument. Now, the court documents didn't specify what was going on exactly, but they were in each other's faces, yelling and screaming. So, she's had enough. So she tells him to get the fuck out of her house. Baby, not long after that, Claudia is in her home thinking that, she's done with this fool when he forces his way into her house. And she's like, "What the fuck are you doing in my house?" But Kevin ain't about talking no more. He's pissed off. He's enraged. Like this nigga think he Ike Turner 2.0 or somebody. And all of a sudden, Kevin just snaps. He starts pounding Claudia with his fists, mind you, and he beats her like she's a grown ass man. Now, of course, he runs off and she calls 911. And on December 28th, 1998, Kevin gets arrested for statutory burglary. He goes before the judge and he originally pleads not guilty, but once again, his attorney, Gary Turpin, that motherfucker must have been a fucking wizard because he ends up avoiding jail time again. This time, he gets probation, but he has to plead guilty to a lesser charge. So he pleads guilty to the lesser charge. He technically does get sentenced to 3 years, but the 3 years gets suspended and he only ends up with probation. Yet another time where the system has failed black women. But I'm going to get on that, later on during Fair or Foul. Trust. So while Kevin's out, living his little menacing ass life and just getting away with shit, Natalie is moving on with her life too. She's gotten married and, she's had kids and everything. And she actually ended up moving back to Virginia. Now, unfortunately, things didn't necessarily work out between her and her husband. So she ended up getting a divorce. But she decided to stay in Virginia with her kids. And then one day she goes into a local store to do some shopping. And while she's in there, just kind of doing her thing, all of a sudden she just gets this feeling in her gut and she knows that something is going on. Like everything in her just tensed up. She had just this weird eerie feeling and her gut was right. When she turned around, guess who was looking dead at her? Kevin's little Blake Lanier fucking crazy ass. The minute that she saw him, she dropped everything and she bolted. Like she legit took off in the middle of the store, took off running. She left that shit and went home. It's sad that this man had that much of an impression on her that it caused her to react like that. And, she couldn't believe that she saw him. Like, I mean, Virginia's a big state and all, but there he was in the flesh. And she had heard that he had been in the military, so I guess maybe she was hoping that, he would be gone on an assignment or something, but he clearly was back and he wasn't done causing problems. So from that day forward, Natalie was always looking over her shoulder because she didn't know what the hell he was capable of. She didn't know if he was going to try to come back and, finish her off. But he was still caught up on his ex, Claudia, which was, I guess, somewhat of a relief for her. So, despite the fact that he had been charged with burglary and had beat her, Claudia took him back. I guess maybe he had convinced her, the same way he tried to convince Natalie that he was changing and, that he was on his meds and all of that. And after coming back from the war and being in the military, Kevin felt like he had PTSD. Sometime, maybe he did, maybe he didn't, I don't know. But they ended up back together. Now, some time has passed and, it's now like 2010. So clearly, a whole decade has gone by. So Kevin and Claudia, they're back together. They're going strong. But Claudia is tired of this whole Dr. Jekyll, Mrs. Hyde thing going on with this fool. And she was like, you know what? I, I'm just going to end things for good. So she tells Kevin one day, listen, Kevin, I can't keep doing this. I think it's best that we just go ahead and go our separate ways. I love you, but I gotta love myself more. I gotta put me first.
I gotta put me first. I gotta put me first. I gotta put me first, Lucian.
I'm sorry, y'all. Had to do it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Every time I see that, that just tickles the shit out of me. Okay. So, anyway, All right, so Claudia breaks it off with Kevin, and she's feeling free. She feels at ease. She ain't got to worry about his ass no more. But on December 10th, 2010, Kevin decided that he was going to pop up on Claudia and that they were going to be together whether she wanted to or not. So he shows up to her crib and he's going in. Why why don't you want to be with me? I don't understand. I love you. All dramatic and shit. And she's pissed off because she's like, oh my God, this nigga ain't getting a hint. I don't want you. I don't love you no more. Like, how much more, clearer can I be? And she's telling him, like, Kevin, it's over. I told you we're done. And Kevin was like, nah, we ain't done till I say we done. But Claudia ain't backing down this time. And she tells him, like, I told you, I can't be with you anymore. We are done. And she bosses the fuck up. She gets in her car and she starts driving. Oh, Kevin did not like that shit at all. You gonna blow me off? Bet. So he jumps in his car and he starts following her. And I guess his rage is just boiling over because when she gets to the intersection of Wesleyan and Cypress Point Drive, he rear ends her, like rams into the back of her car. So she pulls over and she's like, what the fuck is wrong with this nigga? Kevin jumps out of the car and he goes over to Claudia's car door and he like literally breaks it open like he's fucking Thor or something, and then proceeds to start beating her. Like he's punching her in the face and trying to like gouge her eyes out at the same time. And Claudia's trying to fight back. Like she's trying to defend herself. She's clawing, she's doing whatever she can. She actually tried to bite his finger at one point because it's all in her face and stuff. And he drags her out of the car and then gets on her, still hitting her, bites her in her face. Y'all, like this nigga took a chunk out of her face that was the size of like one of those like old like half-dollar coins. That's how big it was. That's how big the bite mark was. He bites her like he's fucking Mike Tyson and then just spits the piece of her face on the ground. She's kicking and screaming, and she actually does get away from him. And so she runs to this 7-Eleven gas station that was close by, and she's pleading, to the clerk for help. And so, the clerk sees her face and he's like, oh, fuck. So he calls 911. And of course, at this point, Kevin has bolted because he's got to figure out how the fuck he gonna get away with this shit. He got to figure out, all right, what mental institution am I gonna check myself into today? So he goes home and the police show up to the 7-Eleven and they see Claudia looking a mess. Her face is bleeding, she's bruised, and they end up taking her to the hospital and they go back to where she told them about, the accident at Wesleyan and Cypress Point, and they see that the piece of her face that's laid on the ground. Ugh. So, that's nasty. So they get that and they bag it and they gather, the evidence from the car accident and all of that. And the entire time, Kevin is chilling at home watching TV. So Claudia is taken to the hospital where she has to undergo surgery, and she finds out that she had damage to her eye as well as some, permanent scarring that she has to deal with. And the cops, they go straight to Kevin's house where he's sitting and chilling like nothing happened. So they arrest him and he's taken to jail while Claudia has to have all these surgeries to, reconstruct her face and everything. So Kevin sat in jail for a little over a year and he gets charged again with aggravated malicious wounding. Now, maybe it was his cockiness that, made him think that he could get away with it. But this time, the prosecution was two steps ahead. They had a secret weapon. They remembered that he had also attacked another girlfriend of his, that girlfriend being Natalie. So Natalie's at home one day and this white lady just shows up to her door, right? And Natalie finds out, she's like, okay, who is this random white lady? It's the prosecutor, Wendy Alexander. So she was like, listen, Kevin Bullock has been arrested. That was all Natalie needed to hear. She was like, listen, I got you. Whatever you need, I got you. Say less. This was her way of getting justice. So now they're getting ready for trial for Kevin. And he's sitting in the courtroom, cocky as hell, chilling. He's thinking, I got this. I'm going to be good. He's got his attorney, Charles Bashara, to represent him. So he's ready to, tell his side of things and weasel his ass on out of it. But then the prosecution decides to call their surprise witness. And who was that witness? Natalie Purdy, of course. So she comes in, and Kevin's entire demeanor changes. He's looking shooketh. What the hell is she doing here? Baby, she gets on that stand and she tells the jury everything that Kevin had done to her and how she had been stabbed multiple times because he couldn't handle the rejection. Oh, that was all the jury needed to hear. His attorney tells him, Kevin, look, yeah, things have kind of changed. I suggest you plead guilty. Like, it wasn't what he wanted to hear, but of course he knew now, fuck, I'm fucked. He had no choice. So Kevin changes his plea from not guilty to guilty on May 29th, 2012. And the prosecutor has one more trick up their sleeve. They get to recommend to the judge what they feel the sentence should be. And the judge presiding over the case was Judge Glenn Croshaw, who had no problem taking their suggestion. He actually welcomed it. Now, even though he hadn't, committed murder, the judge had had enough. Like, you've attacked two different women in three, not one, not two, but three different scenarios. So the sentence that the prosecutor suggested, oh, it was received and approved. Judge Croshaw sentenced Kevin Bullock to 35 years in prison. He gave him damn near double the amount of time because he knew that that man would turn around and do the shit again if he got the opportunity. Now remember, Claudia had undergone, a few facial reconstructive surgeries and was feeling like crap. But when she found out that he was sentenced to 35 years for something that was only supposed to be, 17, oh, she was happy as hell, and so was Natalie. They both got the justice that they deserved. Natalie told the courts, it helped me with my case to be able to be a voice when I couldn't be a voice before. I couldn't be a voice because I was young. I couldn't be a voice because of the medical trauma I experienced. But to be able to be a voice for her, because I know what it's like to feel like you're alone and nobody can understand. Nobody can understand the pain. Nobody can understand the day-to-day struggles to get out of the bed. And that is so true. But not everybody was happy about it though. Naturally, of course, Kevin wasn't because his ass got 35 years and his parents spoke their piece about it too. His mother, Barbara, oh, she was very vocal. She's telling the media that, her son was off his meds when he attacked Claudia and did what he did, and, how he was being treated poorly at the VA hospital, and, oh, he was suffering from PTSD. See, apparently, Kevin called her the day that he had attacked Claudia and told her, oh, mama, I'm suffering from post traumatic stress syndrome. And supposedly, he had called the VA hospital that day too to get an appointment because he felt like he was going to do something. Remember, I told y'all that ass was slick and he was always trying to be two steps ahead. He knew what the fuck he was doing. So the media was like, okay, well, if he had post traumatic stress, well, is there any reason why your attorney didn't call the doctor to testify about this? And so Kevin's father, James, he was like, well, it's a mystery to us because we wanted the doctor to testify. But here's the thing, a mental health evaluation was completed because they do that in a lot of these cases to determine if the defendant is competent enough to stand trial. And they found that he was. But Barbara wasn't convinced. She tells the media, I know what Kevin did was wrong, but to give Kevin 35 years, I just couldn't see it. He's getting a longer sentence than most convicted killers. He called the VA to get a mental health appointment. And he did, that's true. But they had told him to come on his regular appointment date, which was like a few days later. Like, he chose not to wait. And so, James and Barbara are telling everybody, we didn't get the best attorney for him and we should have. He was he was portrayed as one of the biggest monsters anybody ever wants to meet. I think Kevin did have a mental breakdown at that time. I really do. Looking for a book that resonates with your soul? Well, look no further than Author K, a master ghostwriter, storyteller, and author who weaves tales across multiple genres, from heartwarming romance to gripping urban horror. Whether you're searching for a contemporary romance that sweeps you off your feet or street lit that reflects the realities of life, Kay's writing speaks to the heart of every reader. Her work also passionately highlights the Black Lives Matter movement, bridging narratives that matter. Dive into the journey of discovery, empowerment, romance, and connection through Kay's incredible reads. Visit www.mizk.com today and dive into a world of unforgettable tales. That's www.mzkaye.com. Your next favorite book is just a click away. Like, fuck the fact that he attacked 2 different women on multiple occasions. Like, oh no, it boils down to the appointment. The fuck? Oh my gosh, they portrayed him as a monster because he was. Oh, well, they gave him 35 years. Most convicted killers don't get that much. He damn near was a convicted killer, girl. He tried to kill Natalie. He tried to kill Claudia twice. What the fuck is wrong with you? Mm. Anyway, so Kevin filed an appeal against his sentencing back in late 2012, but on May 31st, 2013, the Court of Appeals denied it. And they also granted his counselor's motion to withdraw, which means that ultimately Kevin would have to represent himself on any future appeals or court dates. So, as of right now, Kevin Christopher Bullock is inmate number 1461066 at the Greenville Correctional Center, where he will probably be for the rest of his life. But it does state that he will be released June 18th, 2041, where he will be 78 years old at that time. So that's why I said pretty much the rest of his fucking life he's going to be in there. Natalie, she's gone on to do some amazing things. She's become a public speaker for workshops, community events, and all of that. She volunteers for victims and survivors. She uses her Facebook page to raise awareness for all types of human rights and domestic violence and sexual and child abuse. She's a member of the My Help, My Hope Foundation, and she volunteers for the Samaritan House. Now, a few different television networks have shown her story. I know the ID channel had a show called Dates from Hell where they did a story on her and Kevin. And then Lifetime Network, they had something called I Dated a Psycho. Woohoo. Yes, she did. But, she's living her best life with her kids. She's got a daughter, Sherelle, a son, Uriah, and another son, Dalvin, from her ex husband. One of the things that she said that really kind of stood out to me when she was talking about her experience, she said, my goal is not to just speak for other women, but also to speak to young women, to speak to teenagers. You get in a relationship and you don't see the signs. You think that if someone really wants to know where you're going to be or what you're going to do, that that's just them showing a certain type of interest. But sometimes those are the signs that we just don't see. And that really resonated with me because, it's the first sign of being controlling. It's the first sign of a man wanting to keep tabs on you or a woman. And a lot of times we think, oh, that's just them being sweet, wanting to know and, where I'm at all the time, making sure I'm good. Mm-mm. No. It's because they need to know where you are at all times because they're trying to control you. And it's really sad. There's so many women that see stuff like that as love, and that's not what it really is. Because in situations where, if a man is questioning me all the time, okay, well, where you at? What are you doing? I've been in situations where I was like, oh, that's so sweet. But then if the shoe was on the other foot and I'm asking, I'm, getting bitched at, like, oh, why you giving me the third degree? What the fuck? Da, da, da. And they get an attitude, you know. And I've noticed it happens a lot where a man, will ask his woman, okay, well, what you doing? Where you at? Why you doing this? Why you not answering the phone? And it really is controlling. And then the minute that they try to do something without them, it's, oh, so you don't fuck with me no more. Oh, you don't do this. Oh, you don't do that. And that is a sign of control. That's what that is. There's so many women that see stuff like that as love, and it really is not. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Natalie Purdy, Claudia Lawson, and Kevin Bullock. The definition of fuck around and find out. And now it is time for Fair or Foul, where we look at the justice system to determine if the sentencing that was given by the system was indeed fair, or if it was just some bullshit that's going to have us sitting back saying, what the fuck? As to the sentencing with this one, I think it was fair in the aspect that they doubled the sentencing time frame at the recommendation of the prosecutor. But what I don't like that has me saying what the fuck is the fact that there were several times where the system dropped the ball. The fact that in the initial incident with Natalie, where Kevin stabbed her multiple times and he only received probation, He was charged with aggravated malicious wounding when that should have been attempted murder. That was the first fuck up. Y'all charged him completely wrong. By the grace of God, Natalie survived, but it should have been attempted murder instead of aggravated malicious wounding because he stabbed her multiple times. You stabbed this woman 30 times. Your intent was for her to die, but she bossed up and basically survived. And that was just what it was. Attempted murder, flat out. That man knew exactly what he was doing. He was meticulous. He was methodical. For him to go and check himself into a mental institution immediately after he did that, and then to go as far as calling her and taunting her, talking about, oh, I love you. I can't wait for us to get married. Knowing that he damn near killed her. And it's not like he didn't know what he did because Natalie told him, like, Kevin, do you realize what the fuck you did to me? Motherfucker, you put me in the hospital. You could have killed me. And all he could do was ignore what he was, what she was saying. He wasn't being mental. That motherfucker was plotting his shit out and got away with it. You checked your own self into a mental institution and then checked your own self out. Come on. Now, had the system locked his ass up, then he never would have gotten to Claudia. Like that was a slap in the face for Natalie. You're basically telling her, "Hey, your feelings don't matter. Your life doesn't matter." Like, come on, man. That girl was 18 years old. Oh, hold up. Let me touch on that real quick. The fact that she was only 18 while he was a whole 24, 25 years old. How the fuck were you able to date somebody so much older? That needs to be addressed. And by no means am I victim blaming because you love who you love. At some point, something needed to be done though, or somebody needed to step in and say, okay, hey, this getting a little too serious. Y'all can't be doing this. She 18. She was 16 when she met the motherfucker. He was 24. There should have been no way that a 24 or 25-year-old man should be comfortable enough to come upstairs to my bedroom where I'm laying my head in my grandmother's house and 16. That wouldn't have fucking flown in my house. My daddy damn near lost his fucking mind when I was 20, dating somebody that I think was like 10 or 15 years older than me. He about lost his shit. So the fact that she was in her household and this man could come and go as he pleases to the point that he felt comfortable enough to come up there with boxes telling her that he was helping her pack. Now, even though the court documents didn't say it, I'm almost certain they were fucking 16 and 24. He knew what he was doing. 24 and you got a 16-year-old girlfriend. Control at its finest. She's young. She's impressionable. She don't know no fucking better, but you do, motherfucker, with your grown ass. Oh, pedophile motherfucker. Ugh, fuck out of here with that. She young and trying to live her life. She still has shit that she wanted to do. But here's Kevin's ass in his mind in his mid-20s fucking with a teenager. And when he gets rejected and she tells him she don't want to be with him no more, instead of him accepting the fact that she was chasing her dream, instead of him accepting the fact that she was living her life and doing something fucking valuable, he couldn't handle it. He stabbed this woman multiple times and left her in the hospital to fight for her life. This poor baby had to learn how to walk and talk and do the basic shit all over again. And you give him probation? Man, me and my entire family would have been ready to ride out and whoop your ass. The next time y'all saw him, y'all would have been digging up his body from some fermented area of the earth. You hear me? And then later on, the fact that he goes to do the same thing because nobody stopped him the first time, so he goes to do it again to another woman. How can y'all be okay with this? The fact that he did this to another woman. He traumatized the hell out of Claudia. He literally bit off a piece of her fucking face like she was an apple or some shit. Like, come on. The first time that he hurt her when he beat her, it should have been something other than probation. You got to look at the history and the arrest record of this jackass. You got to look at his track record. And he damn sure had one. This wasn't the first time that he beat on Claudia. This was the second time that we know of, that's on record anyway. Because the first time that he beat her, she did the right thing. She went to the police, but y'all fucked around and failed her. She went to the cops and did what she was supposed to do. She went and pressed charges, and all y'all did was suspend his sentence of 3 years and give him probation instead of locking his ass up. Because then I would have been looking at that shit like, oh, wait a minute, this motherfucker stabbed somebody 30 times in the past and tried to kill them less than a decade ago. Oh, this motherfucker needs to be locked up. not charged with statutory burglary. Because, mind you, he broke into her fucking house, then beat her ass and took her shit and left. So, yeah, there should have been more than statutory burglary there. Like, had you locked him up, maybe then she would have had time to get away, start over, do something different with her life other than go back to this man. And oh God, I don't know why she chose to go back to Kevin and work things out, because it only got worse. Like, you ain't got but one time to put your motherfucking hands on me, and then I promise you, ooh, you gonna hear "Take Me to the King" playing in the background, because your ass is about to motherfucking meet him. You hit me, and I'm gonna look up and be like, okay, God, here he comes. But for whatever reason, she chose to get back with this man. And by the grace of God, Natalie was able to testify and give her story to help convict him. It took over 15 years for her to get that justice, but she finally did. And I give my flowers to Natalie for being so strong to tell her story. Like, she is a true survivor. But this motherfucker, Kevin, oh, you was a bitch. Like, you preyed on women that were younger than you, that you knew were insecure and didn't know much about life. You knew it only made you look like, something, when really you wasn't shit. You was a mid-20s ass man fucking with a teenager, you fucking pedophile. Oh, that shit makes me mad. And then when it came to Natalie, you couldn't stand to see her shine. You didn't like the fact that she was doing great things. Like, it's always a nigga that tries to stop his girl. Like, why do that? Why? Niggas will swear that they want a girl to be ambitious, that's bringing something to the table, and is doing all of these things for herself, that ain't just sitting around on her ass doing nothing. Meanwhile, he ain't about shit. And then when she's doing great things and when she's making a name for herself, when she's out here grinding, y'all start tripping. You can't have it both ways. It makes no sense. Like, why go to the extremes? What was the reason for that?
What was the reason?
Cardi, child, I wish I knew, sis. Like, if you want somebody to just be your yes girl and do whatever you say, then don't get a woman that has goals for herself. Like, it's that simple. And I guess he thought because she was younger that it would be easier to control her and to manipulate her, but not everybody has that mindset. There are a lot of young individuals, young women and men, that have strong minds, that are strong-willed, that are goal-oriented and driven. And Natalie was one of those. Like, I think it's a situation where this motherfucker couldn't deal with women his own age, because women his own age would have something to say about a grown ass man in his mid 20s living with his parents. But because Natalie was, 16, it was okay. He had a car, so it was cool to Natalie. But a grown ass woman gonna be like, motherfucker, you got a job? Why are you relying on your parents to give you money? Why are you relying on your parents for a place to live? Like, we know better. But your genome from the Proud Family looking ass was nothing but a bum. You had two beautiful women that you fucked over and that you destroyed, that both have to heal physically and mentally from your psychotic ass. Their mental will never be the same. Thank God that both of them are survivors. It's actually been a while since I've done a case where the victim has actually survived, but it's good that they did. And then your parents ain't no better. Let me hop on Barbara and James for a minute. If they were so concerned about your mental health, why not get your ass some real help when you stabbed Natalie? Huh, mom and dad? He shouldn't have been able to check himself out of that hospital. The fact that he checked himself in there tells me that clearly y'all didn't know your son the way you think you did. The fact that he could check himself in and out of the hospital, where the fuck were y'all? Where the fuck were y'all when he stabbed Natalie? And then years later, y'all talking about oh, he got 35 years when most convicted killers don't get a sentence like that. This motherfucker is not all the way there. This Fruit Loop ass that y'all call a son, something is wrong with his ass. But where were y'all to make sure that that was correct? Where were y'all to fix that? He shouldn't have been able to check himself out. This nigga stabbed someone over 30 times because she chose to dance and live her dreams and not just follow around after him like a puppy. But you want to go to the media and talk about how the sentencing wasn't fair. No, y'all ignoring the signs about your child was wrong. Y'all not fucking that boy up and whooping his ass and spoiling him and just giving him whatever he want. That's what was not fair. Take accountability that you failed as parents. Because now Kevin gets to rot his ass in prison for the rest of his life, because 2041 is a long way off and your ass is already over fucking 50. You gonna rot in prison. You gonna decompose worse than Trick Daddy's face. You gonna spend the rest of your days in that little ass cell, hopefully getting bent over by the biggest motherfucker in there. Meanwhile, Natalie is gonna live her life and continue to blossom as she has been, traveling the world, telling people how much of an asshole you are. Now, Claudia, I couldn't get much information on her because, her privacy. But and what she's doing now, I don't know. But it looks like she got married because her last name is now Claudia Lawson Wilson. So I'm hoping that she is healed and happy knowing that this motherfucker is finally behind bars and that, the physical scars heal just as much as the mental. But she living her life and I can almost guarantee she's doing great things too. That is all for this week's episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. You can follow the show on the various streams on Instagram and TikTok at Infamous One Podcast. That's a number one, by the way, not spelled out, and you can leave a review there. On X, it's Infamous One Pod, where you can also leave a review. On Facebook, you can join the private discussion group, the Infamous Ones discussion group. But please be advised, if you don't answer the questions, you ain't getting in. It's that simple. It's literally two questions, okay? One is about the rules and terms and conditions, and the other is how did you hear about the Infamous Ones? That's simple. But once you get in, come on in, sit down, take a seat. Tell us what you're sipping on, all that good stuff. We have fun in there. We post, different stories and all of that. And yeah, that's just what it is. The show streams on multiple streaming services like Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, of course, Spotify, so on and so on. So, leave a review. It only takes a few seconds. The reviews do matter. And speaking of the reviews, let's look at a couple of them. The first one comes from Audible from, I'm going to fuck this name up. Ashantia? It's spelled Ashantila. I'm hoping it is either Ashantala or Ashantia. If I fucked your name up, my apologies. So it says 5 stars. This is currently my favorite podcast. This was a must listen for any true crime fan, and the storytelling is phenomenal. I'm like an addict checking daily to see if a new episode has dropped so I can have my true crime fix. Oh, and my drinks for the last episode was caramel crown and simply apple juice. Yes, that sounds like a mix of happy juice. So y'all know happy juice is henny and apple juice. It tastes so good, I'm telling you. But thank you so much, darling, for the review. I appreciate it, and I love hearing that I'm your favorite. Aw. The next review comes from Apple Podcasts from King K Bay. It says 10 out of 10 podcast. Just started listening. So glad I have a new podcast to tune into. My work day goes by fast because of you. Keep going, sis. Strong arm emoji. 10 out of 10 podcast. That's what I love to hear. I love when I see, "Oh, I'm the favorite podcast," or, "Oh my god, I love you. You're my favorite," because it keeps me motivated to keep going. Because I promise y'all, it is some days, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I ain't even gonna hold you. It's some days where I wanna quit. It's some days where I'm just like, "Ugh," especially after the last conversation that I had with the sponsors, I was just like, "Yeah, do I really wanna keep doing this?" But, I like the fact that I'm seeing that I'm, favorite, so hopefully that stays true as time goes on. So just a couple of announcements. Speaking of the sponsors, due to low ticket sales, the sponsors have decided to cancel the live show for Charlotte in October. That was the one where we were supposed to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of the podcast. Unfortunately, it didn't pique much interest, even with the 50% off tickets. They were doing a special where it was 50% off. So instead of it being $50, they were going to be $25 tickets. You're supposed to get unlimited alcohol. You were supposed to get, a case, of course, with me. There was going to be a special guest. Seven Panther was going to be performing. Author Risha Tanae was going to have her book there for sale. It was supposed to be, a whole vibe, meet and greet, pictures, all of that. But unfortunately, there was not much interest in it. So they have decided to cancel the show. I'm not sure if it's because of the BTCC show that's also in October. I mean, that just makes sense to me because, everything is in that same month. So naturally doing it in that time frame in the same month, I kind of figured would be a little problematic because, with BTCC, y'all getting 4 different podcasters, which is freaking awesome. But, the sponsors have decided to go ahead and skip the Charlotte show. I'm not sure if I'm still gonna do a show in Miami, but what I'm gonna do is, I was talking to them about it. What I'm gonna do is kind of maneuver a little different. I'm going to make a post in the Facebook group where people can vote as to where they want to see their next show and just focus on one show and then kind of expand the tour off of that. So, I know y'all gonna have a blast though in Atlanta for the BTCC show. That's gonna be in October. I know that's gonna be amazing, especially with all of them together. I know they're gonna have some fun. So for those that have purchased tickets already, I think it was like maybe 6 tickets that have been sold. They're gonna be refunded to you, of course, fees included and everything. But yeah, they've decided to go ahead and cancel it. So just make sure that you go into the Facebook discussion group to vote because that's the only place you're going to be able to vote. Okay. Don't send me no emails, no inboxes, none of that because I will ignore the fuck out of it. I'm just saying, I love y'all, but whoo, I will ignore it. So make sure that you vote because I'm going to do a poll in the Facebook group. I'm going to list several different cities and I'm going to pin it so that way you can see it as soon as you come into the group. It'll be like the pinned post, and everybody can vote that way. So you got to be a part of the group to vote. Okay. And I'm going to leave it up for a while because as of right now, obviously, I'm not going to do the show in October. I'm thinking the show will be in January to give me time to prepare and, of course, to give the sponsors time to approve it. So I'm going to have it posted for an entire month. Okay. You'll be able to vote for a whole month. That don't mean wait till the last minute, black people. Cause y'all know we some procrastinators, okay? That don't mean wait till the last minute. Just go in and vote when you see it, okay? And of course, whatever the majority is will be where the show is. And like I said, hopefully the sponsors will approve. Oh, speaking of sponsorship, the Infamous Ones is currently running a special sponsorship package. The packages start at $100. You can do a monthly fee of $100 a month where your business or your organization is mentioned in every episode each week at the top and at the bottom of the episode, or you can do a one-time flat rate fee of $45 and you can have up to 3 ads per episode. So if you're interested in the package, make sure to email me at infamous1pod, infamous1pod at gmail.com. And you will get the package to make your selection. Also, I have some people inboxing my personal inbox on Facebook. If you need to reach me pertaining to something that is podcast related, please email or message me in the Mobbers group. So when I see messages like that in my personal box, I don't really check my messenger on the regular. So I'm not going to see it until like days or weeks later. So for future reference, if you see that I don't respond to your message on Facebook because you message my personal page, that's not me trying to be mean, but that's the whole point of the Mobbers group because I check that all the time. And then on top of that, you've got the email address and the website. Some people were hitting me up like, "Hey, how do I order your books?" Or "Hey, how do I order, mugs or t-shirts?" And those are still available. Tumblers are $30, t-shirts are $20, or $25, excuse me. And they're also on the website. But people were hitting me up at the end of each episode, you hear me mention all of the ways that you can follow and all of the social medias. You can also check it when you click on the episode on whatever streaming service you're listening to it on. At the bottom of the description of the episode, there are several links for, Facebook, TikTok, X, the website, the email address, all of that is on there. So you can contact me um through the Mobbers group to get a direct response from me. If you hit my personal inbox, I'm sorry, but I'm probably not going to respond because I don't check that shit. Anyway, so for those that are going to be in Atlanta or those that live in Atlanta, I will be at Nubian Bookstore September 20th. I'll have some of my releases. So make sure that you come out and support your girl. I will be at Nubian Bookstore, which is located at 1540 South Lake Parkway in Morrow, Georgia. I'll be there from noon to 6 p.m. selling books and, signing them, of course. So make sure that you come on out. Make sure to keep up with the website, of course. We have the Steady Mobbing Facebook Messenger, t-shirts for sale, my mobbers. If you don't have a mobbing t-shirt, get one. They're $25. Sizes go all the way up to, I believe, 2XL or 3XL. Of course, we got the tumblers available, so make sure that you purchase those. Um, Yeah. Oh, and of course, make sure that you tune in Saturday, August 30th, because not only are you going to have your regular episode on August 31st, and baby, I started doing research on that 3 weeks ago. That shit is wild. This next case, it happened here in the town where I live, and it is fucking nuts. Like, I can't wait for y'all to hear that one. But Saturday, August 30th kicks off The Missing Ones, which is going to be a true crime podcast about people of color that have come up missing or kidnapped. Like, I'm so excited. I can't wait for y'all to hear that. So, definitely get ready. I'm going to be recording the episode for that either tomorrow or Thursday. Once again, thank you all for your patience. I wanted to address something because I know, I had made a post a while back in the Facebook discussion group talking about, how I was going through some personal things and it was causing a delay with the episodes. Between the episodes being pulled because of that whole BS content violation thing with Spotify, and then, dealing with life issues and everything, it caused a delay, with the episodes and, dealing with a lot, not episodes not being right sometimes. And I'm going back and re-recording everything, school and trying to graduate in December, dealing with life-changing events, being an active parent, writing, not to mention, 12-hour work days and so on. It's just, it's been a lot on your girl sometimes. And it does affect it because, like, dead ass, y'all, sometimes I'm just tired and I have no energy because I just wanna take a nap. Like, I envy my toddler because that boy will fall asleep anywhere, and I would so love to do that, but then I'm like, "Nope, I gotta go to a football game for my son," or, "Nope, I gotta cook dinner. Nope, I gotta help this one with homework. Nope, I gotta do this." It's tiring, like, but Imma get there one day, though. Like, I'm not gonna leave my mobbers hanging. I envy those that can podcast full time. I plan on doing that one day, hopefully. But yeah, don't worry, I'm not gonna leave y'all hanging. I've rearranged some things to make sure that, my mobbers are taken care of. Y'all will get your weekly fix on time going forward. That I can guarantee. This will be the last episode that is late. Sometimes though, I'm not gonna lie, I probably may say, hey, there won't be an episode next week. And that's just because if I know, like, my graduation weekend ain't gonna be no episode. I'm gonna be somewhere drunk. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be somewhere drunk celebrating, okay? But I love y'all too much to just leave y'all hanging. So I definitely, appreciate everybody for, hanging in there. And as the elders would say, I'm on the mend, baby. I'm on the mend. If you want to support the show or if you're feeling the spirit, meaning that liquor we've been sipping on, go ahead and click the link at the bottom of the screen from whatever app you're listening to this episode on and hit listener support to subscribe. The subscription start at like 99 cents. You can also donate via the Cash App at infamous one pod. That's INFAMOUSONEPOD. Donations go toward court documents, interviews, and so forth and so on. My popcorn donator's been quiet, but that's all right. If you have a case that you want to hear more on that you feel has been ignored in the Black community, if you want to inquire about ad space, or if you want to leave a review, send an email to infamous1pod@gmail.com. That's INFAMOUSONEPOD@gmail.com. Once again, people, please share, share, share. The podcast is growing by the day, and it means the world, so keep sharing. Until then, y'all know what it is. I'm your girl Kay. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see y'all next Sunday with a new episode. Stay mobbing, y'all. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay. Be sure to like and comment on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.